Welcome to the Exciting and New Podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
I'm Dana.
Forgot who it was.
I was like, wait, is he going to say something? This week we're talking, this is Spinal Tap, rated PG, running time only 82 minutes. Theatrical release date was March 2nd, 1984. Who directed it, Andy?
Rob Reiner.
Meathead, I thought
I was going to say Marty Di Bergi.
I thought you were going to say Meathead.
Sorry, yeah, Meathead.
Rob Reiner, this is our first Rob Reiner movie.
I think it's the first for everybody in this, right? Have we done anybody that we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple people, maybe.
All right.
I think we saw Ed Begley.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
You could barely see him in this.
I kept saying to Michelle, I'm like, watch the drummer,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I know that at one point they show his face
Yep.
clearly.
Yeah, not that clearly,
Well,
though. Still a little gritty.
You want to try his top four, though? Rob Reiner? It's not Ed's, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, this is 82 minutes. There's a 272-minute version out there somewhere.
It
What?
is available, though?
Yeah,
You can
it's,
find it?
I mean, I don't know if it's available.
Oh,
but
okay.
there's
wow.
Like the DVD or the Blu-ray had like an hour and a half of cut material.
Oh, really?
Like, that's basically in the credits of this movie at the end. All
Yeah.
those just the interview parts. I
That's
think
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
a lot of that.
Huh.
So Rob Reiner's top four.
Is it all any of it acting, or is it
It's all,
directing?
this is all, I have directing and acting. He's in some, because sometimes he acts and directs in the same
Yeah.
thing like this.
Oh,
you know
well,
what
yeah,
I mean?
that's true.
So this is in there, too.
The
This
only
is
thing
Spinal Tap.
I could clearly say I know he's in is All in the Family.
How many episodes of All in the Family
Oh, I don't know.
has Rob Reiner done?
100.
Well, he left early, but he had to have been in like 5 seasons. So I'd say like 125.
There was a total of 207 episodes of All in the Family. He was in 184 of them.
Oh, wow.
I thought he left earlier than that.
So it looks like he only missed one season.
He and Gloria got married and went to California. I think that's how they got them out of this.
That looks like one season, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
23 episodes or whatever.
Interesting.
So I told you Spinal Tap is in there.
Was All in the Family in there?
The All in the Family, it
How
wasn't.
about,
okay.
so the rest are directing.
No, because Wolf of Wall Street's in there. He was an actor. In
Damn,
there.
I forgot he was even in that. So
And then The Story of Us, I don't...
not Harry Met Sally.
No, none of that
not
made it
A
in
Few
there.
Good Men. Wow. Okay. I guess he was probably an actor in that too. I guess those are more acting
These
than
were all
directing.
acting, yep.
Interesting. He was also in that great South Park episode where he wanted to kill Cartman because he was smoking cigarettes. And I have to stop smoking cigarettes.
The IMDb description, Spinal Tap, one of England's loudest bands, is chronicled by film director Marty Di Bergi on what proves to be a fateful tour. In 1982, the legendary English heavy metal band Spinal Tap attempted an American comeback tour accompanied by a fan who is also a filmmaker. The resulting documentary, interspersed with powerful performances of Tap's pivotal music and profound lyrics, candidly follows a rock group heading towards crisis, culminating in the infamous affair of the 18-inch high Stone Age stage prop. This is when I wish Brian was here, because we would have had some great quotes.
Stonehenge. Yes, right. Well, the problem with this movie, it's so quotable. And
Yes.
there's quotes from this movie that have...
It's more about spotting all the people that are in it.
you know what I mean?
yeah,
That's fine.
Because you got to
but-
find, but also too, like, because you find Billy Crystal, he talks, but then you're like, is that Dana Carvey?
Yeah, you wouldn't know that's
Yeah.
Dana Carvey.
Yeah.
You
You gotta
knew it was
look,
Dana
yeah.
Carvey. And
I
Angelica
didn't realize-
Houston, I didn't realize was until the credits. I'm like, Angelica Houston was
I
in
had
this?
that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're stealing my
I
stuff.
was trying to figure out who she was because I had looked at something and I saw her name, but I never got picked her out in the movie anywhere.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Speaking of Stonehenge, she's the one who brought the Stonehenge.
Yeah.
That's the one.
That was
that's
her?
she's like, well, I'm...
She looks so different now, I guess. I just didn't recognize her. I'll have to look it up, go back and look.
She's the one. She's like, what are you talking about? This is what
This
you
is
asked.
it.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was I forget if it's Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin had a Stonehenge monument that was so big they couldn't get it on the stage. So this is kind of like
Oh, the opposite.
No.
yeah.
mocking that. They had a Stonehenge monument in danger of being trodden upon by dwarfs. And I swear to God, I'll try not to just sit here and quote the movie
I
the
got
whole
a
time.
bunch of taglines for you here. Ready? This ain't just rock and roll. Life on the road was never this funny. Prepare to crank those amps up to 11. Crank it to 11. Spinal Tap does for sex, drugs, and rock and roll what Sound of Music did for Hills.
Okay.
The funniest movie ever made about rock and roll. the original rockumentary created by Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, Rob Reiner, Harry Shearer, and Does for Rock and Roll what The Sound of Music did for Hills. So that's 2 versions of it there, yeah. But that's our taglines. I like that one with the Hills.
Yeah.
What did Sound of Music do for Hills? But I was going to say Sandy Duncan. What's her name? Julie Andrews.
Yeah,
Julie Andrews.
she's still alive.
Yeah. This movie, like, I think I saw this in college when I first saw it. I didn't see this in the theater, and I remember this was a pivotal movie in my life.
Yeah.
I didn't realize things could be this funny and this insane. I remember just watching it over. I mean, talking about Angelica Houston, I've seen this movie 50 times at least, and I didn't even know she was in the movie until last night when I was like, wait, was that Angelica Houston's name in the credits? Where is she in this movie?
All right, we're going to go through the cast. It's a lot, so I'm not going to do a top 4 for everybody.
Well, I don't think you need to do top 4s for people that were in the movie for like 3 seconds and stuff like that.
So obviously we had Rob Reiner playing Marty Di Bergi. We just did his top. But playing Ian Faith was playing, or Tony Hendra played Ian Faith, excuse me. I have him down. He died in 2021. He died Lou Gehrig's disease. You don't hear too many people getting that, but when you do, that's not a good one, man.
No one ever dies well that way.
They die fast. And
I don't know if I know him from anything else movie-wise. But
not from his top 4.
But I do know something very interesting about him.
All right, let's hear it.
Because when I read the book, I found out about him. He was very, very good friends with George Carlin and had been writing George Carlin's autobiography for years, like with George Carlin. Like every time something happened, he and Carlin would talk, he'd write it down. So after George Carlin died, Last Words was written by him. He was like the guy that put it all together.
That's when he got autographed. Right?
Yes. 2 years after he died. But yeah, so he was very instrumental in putting all the stuff together to make the George Carlin biography after he had already passed, So yeah, that's really all I know him from. And I didn't know that until I read the book. I was like, oh, that's a dude from Spinal Tap.
That's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did this guy earlier in a movie a couple seasons ago. Michael McKean played David St. Hubbins. You forgot we did a movie with him, didn't you?
I guess I did. Hang on,
it's in
give
his
me a
top
second.
4.
Give me a second.
Let's see if you can get it. You can also attempt his top 4.
I don't remember. I only know him from 2 things. Well, now 3 things.
Say it. It could be in his top 4.
I was letting Andy think about his movie.
I'm totally drawing a blank.
Beat him to it.
I'm never going to guess the movie.
You are.
No, not because my movies are after. Laverne and Shirley.
Okay, that's not
Better
his top
Call
4, but that's
Saul.
good. That's in his top 4.
And this, Spinal Tap.
I thought you might have got the other
No,
one.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything. He was younger.
Really? Clue? Nobody remember Clue?
Damn, of course.
Damn, he was in Clue. Was he the butler?
No, he's Mr. Green.
Mr. Green.
I'm
He's
going
when
to
he
go
can't
home
wait
and
to get
have
home and have
sex with my wife.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie in so long. No, I didn't remember.
He gave it a bad score, remember? Oh, you weren't on then. That's right.
No,
He gave
I
it a
wasn't
60.
on then.
One of his more ridiculous roles was he was in Airheads with Sandler and Steve Buscemi.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I like
he,
that movie.
He was like
You
the
should know,
record
like, A
company
Mighty
exec.
Wind. You should know.
Never heard of it.
Oh, you don't know this
Well,
Christopher Guest movies?
Guest made,
Oh, you
like,
got
No.
We got
or,
some movies for you to watch.
Best in Show.
Yeah.
Best in Show.
She'll love Best in
Best
Show.
in Show is...
I never saw that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
Eugene
one.
Lee.
Yeah, with
Eugene
his
Lee.
2 left feet.
Yeah.
And Catherine O'Hare and
Yeah, you'll love that.
Jane
one.
Lynch.
Okay.
Jane Lynch, right? Jane Lynch is... Yeah, she's the dog trainer, right? Yeah. That's a
I
great
haven't watched
movie.
that one in a while. Christopher Guest, who we're just who we're just speaking of, played Nigel Tufnell.
Nigel, Christopher Guest is married to Jamie Lee Curtis. For forever.
That was, that's
like
a trivia
40
for
years ago or something like that. They've
Really?
been married for a long, long time.
They seem like they'd be fun,
Yeah.
like at a dinner party.
Now, I know we were discussing this the other day. He's some kind of like royal baron something.
Yeah, I didn't go
to
into it
do
because I
with-
figured you had
Oh,
information.
I don't even know what being a baron in England means, but
It sounds cool,
But
though,
it's
right?
hereditary.
Baron
like,
Christopher Guest. I mean, that's cool.
because we were talking about him.
Oh,
not,
that's why you were talking about Baron
Yeah.
Trump? Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, how did we get here?
But
I get to places very, very
he's
weird.
he's not British, but he's British by heritage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's got some
He was
kind
born
of
in Canada.
yeah. And so he did not direct this movie, but I think this movie is what gave him the idea to make like all these movies. Waiting for Guffman, Mighty Wind,
Best in Show.
They're all
Mockumentaries.
They're all mockumentaries
Yeah.
about different things, and
Yeah.
they're all Christopher Guest movies. He's directed all of those movies,
Okay.
and
Yep.
it's all these guys, Harry Shearer, Michael McKean,
Eugene Levy,
Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah.
They're all in all of them. Fred Willard's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got his troupe of people, and most of them came from this movie.
Okay.
So he got the idea. And
Speaking
then
of
ran
Fred
with it.
Willard, he was in this movie.
Well, that's, I was pointing at your paper because Fred Willard was in this.
He's there. Yeah, he's the Colonel. Harry Shearer played Derek Smalls. Do you know him from anything, Dane?
No, I know you said he's from The Simpsons, but is he a voice?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's,
How
Because
many-
I do remember seeing his
he's Burns
name pop up.
and
He's
Skinner
Burns. Oh, okay.
and Smithers,
Smithers, yep.
and
Oh.
maybe Flanders. I always forget. I always get him and Hank Azaria mixed up with which
Yeah.
ones they do. Because
Do you want to tell
they
me
do
how
all the
many
voices.
episodes of The Simpsons Harry
Oh my
Shearer
God.
has done?
I'm going to say
To say all of them?
700. Are they up to 700 yet?
1,000?
There's a total of 761 that I have here, but he's in 758.
I wonder why
of
he's not on
761.
some of them.
Wow.
Was there like a Homer-centric episode where he didn't interact with anybody
It might
for a
have
couple
been just a-
episodes?
yeah,
Just
it might
the
have been
family
him,
kind
yeah.
of thing. Yeah, I mean, they've been doing The Simpsons for almost 40 years now, too. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
those same cast members, they've been cashing checks for all of them. What a job.
Yeah.
What a job.
And they're
man.
cashing big checks.
What a
too.
job.
Yeah.
They're big checks, man. Bruno Kirby played Tommy Pichetta.
He was the limo driver.
Yes.
Oh,
That was
okay.
talking about Sammy Davis's book.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
reading what's the Sammy Davis
He was talking about-
biography?
yeah, I'll tell
I Am
you-
Sam or whatever
He said,
the.
I'll tell you what it should be called. It should be called Whatever Frank Let Me Do.
Oh yeah, Yes I Can's the name of the book. Yes I Can, as long as Frank says I can do it or whatever. These kids don't know about Frank Sinatra. They don't know that life.
That was sad, too, when the wind just like...
Oh, I know.
That was great.
What do I-
And then it's so funny because you see him before they get in the limo.
His
Bruno
top four is
Kirby.
interesting. He died young, too.
Yeah,
In
he died very
2006, he was only 57. He had leukemia.
He was in Godfather 2. He's a young Pete Clemenza.
City
in
Slickers.
City Slickers.
When Harry Met Sally. The Basketball Diaries. And Good Morning.
Oh, is he in Good Morning now?
Canada?
I never saw it. Vietnam.
Vietnam.
I never saw it either.
Never saw it.
Because that's Robin Williams.
Bob
Yeah.
Williams.
Yeah,
That's why I
I'm not a
didn't say it.
fan. Yeah.
Could have been anybody else. I would have watched it probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I love Jumanji.
So none of us are
Not to
Robin
say
Williams
anything.
fans? That's funny that all of us agree
I never
on something
understood
like
it.
that.
Popeye, though. I
Well,
do love Popeye.
I like Popeye.
And there are movies that I've
I
seen
never
with him.
understood Mrs. Doubtfire
Yeah,
or the
never saw
people
it.
liking
I
it.
never watched Mrs.
Yeah.
Doubtfire.
No,
I saw
me
it.
either. People will. Oh God, the hatred I have for that movie. I never saw.
I get yelled at for people that like, you don't like that movie.
No.
But you're
I
right.
thought you were going to be one of those
I'm
people.
No.
but
I'm
you're
a
not.
Popeye fan too, and like Good Will Hunting is a great
Yeah,
movie. I
but
like
he's
that.
not
He's not
centered-
goofy. He's not
yeah, he's
goofy
not
Robin
goofy.
Williams. I dislike goofy Robin
But I
Williams.
did like Jumanji, and I'll watch it over and over.
That's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High on cocaine.
And
like, just-
whenever I see things like, I think the anniversary of his death was a couple weeks ago, and all the tweets were like praising him. I'm like,
I did like him in 1 Hour Photo. He played like
Yeah,
I
a
was like, he
creepy.
was nuts. I didn't see that.
He was like
movie,
a
though.
creepy stalker guy. So he was not trying to be funny even one time, and I
it's funny
liked
because
it.
I liked Mork and Mindy. I was
Yeah.
a fan of that, but I was very young
You were
too.
a
I didn't
kid,
know any better.
Yeah, you just thought it was cool because he was like, nanu, nanu.
Nanu,
Like, what?
He said funny words.
Playing John Stumpy Peppies was Ed Begley Jr.
Now, was he the one that?
He's also in all those
He's
for guest movies.
everything though.
Yeah.
He's got like 500 credits.
He doesn't have a lot
He
of
was
credits.
also in Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's how he got the job because of Michael McKean. That would be funny if he called him up.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if Michael McKean
He's like,
had
you know
any
who'd be
pull
good
on
for this
that.
role? He said Ed would be great for this role.
But he pops up in random things for one episode of like a
Yeah.
very famous show, and then here comes Ed Begley
And
Jr.
what made Ed Begley Jr. famous? Like, what's his top? Do you have his top?
yeah, I do have
there?
his top four.
'Cause-
Mighty Wind, Pineapple Express.
Oh, that's right. The Seth Rogen's girlfriend's dad.
Ah.
Yeah.
Whatever Works. I don't know what that is. And Best in Show.
Best in Show.
His daughter has I think it's his daughter has a TikTok and gets him on her TikToks a lot. Just you
Yeah.
know, being a typical teenager.
Was he a TV guy? Like, what did he do?
Yeah.
A show? Was he like St. Elsewhere or something
I
like
think
that?
he was in
Like,
some kind of show like
He might
that
have
where
had
he's in
one
like
of those.
hundreds
I
of.
really kind of don't know why Ed Begley Jr. is famous,
Right,
but
and he's in so many
Yeah.
things, and you know him.
Well, his
Other
dad
than he's
was
like,
famous too. Ed
Ed
Begley
Begley, yeah.
Sr.
he was one of the first people I ever heard of being green.
I remember
and
that
super
being a
into the
big
environment
thing, yeah.
He's on
before
Curb, too,
anybody
right?
did it.
he is on Curb.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I know about him.
Who played Bobby Fleckman? You know-
Fleckman?
Yeah, you know who played Bobby Fleckman in this movie?
It's a female. Bobby is a female.
Oh, Fran Drescher?
That is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
SAG,
I was thinking of a guy.
president.
Do you know
Yeah.
how many episodes
But
of
my
The
God,
Nanny?
she looks
she's
so
been in?
good now. She doesn't look like she's aged
She was
much.
very young in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, she must have been.
I've never seen The Nanny. It's not. I'm not a
She's
very
in
big
every
fan of hers.
episode.
No.
She's in every episode. So how many of them
Oh,
were there?
I have no idea. I don't even know how long it was on for. I'll
Couldn't
say
even
at least
give an educated
100.
guess.
145.
Okay.
But she was also in UHF. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that's right. She was.
I remember that movie. Yeah.
She was also Lois's replacement voice
Got
on
some more of the
Family
cast.
Guy.
Look, page,
Oh, really?
When they
page 2 of the cast.
when they fired the whole cast of Family Guy,
Oh,
she
yeah.
was the replacement voice for Lois.
Oh.
I think Tom Arnold was Peter.
Oh my
But
gosh.
it's just so funny, like having Lois's annoying voice replaced by a more annoying voice.
We had Dana Carvey playing the mime waiter.
Mm-hmm.
I just have him on there because we could do his top 4. I thought that would be fun.
Jeez. Did not Dana
Wayne's
Carvey-
World?
Wayne's World and that turtle.
SNL.
Which Wayne's
movie?
yeah,
World?
the turtle.
2
Oh, well, I'm going to say 1 then.
You're both right.
Oh.
in SNL, and then he did what was the turtle
He did
movie?
do a turtle movie. I forget, but he was a turtle.
It's the Master of Disguise.
Oh, okay,
He goes,
yeah.
Turtle.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that ended his career. They said, we never want to see you ever again.
How many episodes of Saturday Night Live did Dana Carvey do?
Let's see. He was probably like 5 or 6 years, so I'll say
125.
Yeah, 150.
He did, out of 961 episodes, he did 130.
Okay.
Very close, yeah.
900. There's only been 960 episodes. Huh? I figured it would be more than that by now, but
You figure 20 a year.
Yeah.
So 20 plus a year.
he'll always be Garth.
We
to me.
got Sandy Helberg, played Angelo Di Mentibellio. I got him in here because he was in Spaceballs. It's the dude from Spaceballs.
Which character is this?
He's the
Sorry.
guy that's sitting at the thing, no blips.
No. What's he in this?
He plays Angelo Di Mentibellio. I have no idea.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either. So that's why it's tough. These names, you don't always remember
Yeah.
the names. But
Yeah.
you can picture the face sometimes. We had Zane Busby was the Rolling Stone reporter, and we had Billy Crystal as Morty the Mime.
He actually got a speaking role there. Mime
Yeah.
is money.
Then I got one here. I know who this is. Paul Benedict.
Oh yeah,
He played
yeah.
Tucker Smitty Brown. Paul Benedict is the neighbor from the Jeffersons.
Mr.
Oh,
Bentley.
yeah, the guy at the
Bentley.
hotel. Yeah.
He had the very
I didn't know his real name, but I recognized him from the
Coke
Jeffersons.
bottle glasses.
Yeah.
He's the
The hotel.
twisted fruit. He said,
Yeah.
they tell us twisted fruit, I'm just as God made me. I felt so bad for him. I was like, Jesus. Oh my God. Yeah, that's funny that he was in this. I remember even back the first time I saw this, I was like, hey, it's Mr. Bentley. Look at
I
that.
haven't thought of that guy
Yeah.
since when I would watch it on reruns in
I'll
the 80s.
catch it every now and
but
then.
the
It's still
minute
on.
I saw him, I was like, that guy's a neighbor on. Yeah.
It's still on Antenna TV.
Is it?
Yeah.
He
I
was the
haven't
guy
seen it so
that
long.
he was the guy that came in and told George he was black. Because the first episode of the Jeffersons, he meets him and he's in his room
Yeah,
or
that's
in
right,
his
yeah.
apartment.
And he has him walk on
walks
his
out
back.
and he comes back and he's like, "You're black." And George Jefferson's like, "Yeah, no kidding." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't even realize it," or something stupid like
And
that.
then later
but-
he had him walk on his back.
Yes, that's right. Yes, he had some kind of weird skeletal thing, like almost like
Oh, really?
like gigantism, but he wasn't that big.
Yeah, he
had
died
like
from a brain
He
like he had like a
definitely
big
is a little
jaw
odd. Yeah,
and
there's
stuff like
something
that.
weird with
yeah,
his
something
features.
going on there.
Brain hemorrhage killed him in 2008.
That's too bad.
Playing Terry Ladd was Howard Hessman. He's just got a quick part where he's just strolling through the lobby there or whatever, I guess. And how many episodes
Do
of
you know who we're talking
WKRP
about?
in
He was the-
Cincinnati?
Oh, yeah.
He was the guy that was the
Yeah, I
I guess he
remember.
was a singer of a band also.
Yeah.
He was
too
Johnny
cool.
Fever.
He was too
Yeah.
cool for.
Yeah.
He was talking. He was
Oh,
like,
the other
yeah.
guy that was, he was like,
No, but I'm saying like Howard Hessman was
Howard
too cool
Hessman was
to
the
talk.
manager.
I thought he was the singer.
No, the other guy was the singer with the white
Oh, I
jacket.
always assumed
Because
Howard
that's why-
Hessman was the lead
because,
singer.
No, because whatchamacallit comes up to talk to him.
Yeah.
The
He
manager,
comes up to talk to
Ian
him,
Faith,
but,
comes
but
up
I
to
thought
talk
like
to
he had
him. No.
represented him at some point or something
No,
like
because
that.
that's why they were talking. They knew each other. That's why, yeah.
He has one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. He's like, "Oh, we got to go into the lobby and wait for the limo
Wait
or
for the
something."
limo,
like
yeah.
that. He
We gotta go
didn't
sit down and wait for the
we
limo,
gotta
yeah.
sit down- yeah, it's just so funny how he just doesn't want to talk to those guys.
He did 89 of the 90 episodes of WKRP, but he had 2 successful series because he had,
Herman's head, or the head of the class.
he had another, he did
Yeah.
92 of 114 episodes of that, and he was
Did
also,
he leave early on that? Or
He
something?
did.
yeah, because Billy Connolly came in.
Oh
Did a
yes.
couple seasons. Or
I think I didn't
yeah.
watch it till the end. So.
This is 2 weeks in a row we talked about Head of the Class.
Yeah, because Alan was on from last week. And also, Howard Hessman's in my favorite Police Academy.
Number 2.
Yeah.
He's
my favorite
Lassard's
one.
brother.
He's like, listen up, people. This is serious.
Yeah, that's when he gives him the goldfish that's sitting on the hibachi table. He's like, this fish is boiling. He's like, you want it stir fry?
Let's see if we have any other good ones here for you. I got Paul Schaefer
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah,
playing
Paul
Artie
Schaefer.
Fufkin.
Artie Fufkin.
He got real sad near the end there, too, because... why was he getting upset?
Because no one
He's
showed
blaming
up
himself, right?
showed up the record.
Nobody showed up the
How much were the records selling for?
Blame me.
I don't know.
$5.99.
$5.99
for a record back then. I wish albums cost $5.99.
They
now.
make albums are more expensive than the CD.
CDs are $5.99 now because no one wants them. He's like, kick my ass. I'm ordering you to kick my ass.
I got we got Angelica Houston. We talked about her. She played Polly Deutsch. But hers top 4 was The Grifters,
Addams
The
Family?
Witches,
Yeah.
Ever After, A Cinderella Story, and The Addams Family.
Yeah, I don't think I really know her other than I remember at one point she was dating Jack Nicholson, and that was like a big deal. Jack Nicholson? Jack Nicholas.
Yeah, Jack Nicholas. Yeah.
Jack Nicholas.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, Nicholson. I was like, wait a second.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah, Nicholson. I'm right. Am I?
Jack Nicholas.
Nicholas.
Is the golfer.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson's son she was dating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said son. I started with son.
Yeah,
and
you
then
said it right.
I confused
Yeah,
myself.
but he keeps...
know.
I said it so
You
many
said it
times.
too
I
many
confused
times.
myself.
And then I went down here, and then he's still arguing with himself around. I was like, what are you doing?
But I remember she dated him in like the 90s. And that
Yes,
was like a
they
big
were-
deal.
that was the
and I was like,
power
who's
couple.
she? I'm like, who? I don't even know who she is.
They were
but
like the power couple.
Yeah.
Did they come out of the 70s together or no?
maybe.
I only remember her from as Morticia Addams.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
that was
really-
after she'd already broken up
I
with
have
Jack.
this
Okay.
person here, uncredited, playing a commercial headbanger.
Commercial headbanger.
Yes, this person is in a band called Wasp.
Blackie
Oh.
Lawless?
Blackie Lawless
Wow.
is in this movie.
Is he really?
He's in commercial headbanger is what it is.
I wonder what that means. I don't
Yeah.
remember ever seeing Blackie Lawless.
There might have been a commercial. Maybe there was somebody headbanging in it, and it might have been him. I don't know.
Maybe.
But he's also been in Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child. Did you know that?
I did not know
was-
that.
Is that the second one?
I don't even.
I think
No, that's Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah, 3 or
And then
4
Dream
maybe.
Warriors 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's one of the ones after that.
My God. The
Like-
second one was the worst of all of
Oh
them.
yeah. He only killed like 2 people in that.
We
too.
got to do that this year. The
I
first
love
one.
I love all those movies.
We'll do the
I
first
saw a
one
lot
this
of them in the
year,
theater.
So is that it for cast?
That's it. For
So the one person that you didn't mention, June Chadwick. I think
Oh,
her
I
name
have
is.
it. Yeah, I just
she
sent it
is.
over, yeah.
She's Janine, David St. Hubbins' girlfriend. The Yoko Ono of.
Oh, I know why
yeah.
you. I know why you wouldn't say her. 'Cause she's in V.
She's from V. She was Lydia. in
How many
V.
episodes?
I didn't see that.
Well, that only lasted 2 seasons, and she was in most of them. I'd say she was probably in like 40 episodes of V or something like that.
19.
No way.
19 episodes.
Wow, she made that much of an impact. Wow.
She was good. She was Diana's foil.
She was a bitch in this one, though, huh?
Yeah. Well, she was Yoko. She was. I'm sorry. This is a band meeting. Are you in the band? Did you notice they had the umlaut over the N in Spinal Tap when the band name first comes on? It's in Motorhead and it's in Motley Crue.
Is that the
and
two
it's
dots?
The 2 dots
Yeah.
over the O's, but
Okay.
they had it over the N in this, which makes no sense because it's supposed to be over vowels, and it was just funny that they put it over. I mean, the things in this movie that are so. If you're a music fan and a rock fan, there's so many things that they make fun of that you're not going to catch. If you watch it one time, you're going to have to go back and watch it another time.
Several rock stars have commented on what an uncannily accurate spoof of the rock and heavy metal world this film was. Ozzy Osbourne said when he first watched the film, he was the only person who wasn't laughing. He thought it was a real documentary. I don't say this band, but the guitarist, The Edge, said, I didn't laugh, I wept. It was so close to the truth. And the band Marillion, have you ever heard of that band Marillion?
No.
I think that's a Sammy Hagar band,
okay.
maybe. They had 5 drummers in the space of a year between their first 2 albums, which guitarist Steve Rothery later admitted was like Spinal Tap.
I've heard Pearl Jam say that they have a drummer, a Spinal Tap situation with drums, because the 4 other guys have been in the band like the whole time, and they've had like 5 or 6 drummers over the course of their entire career, so they've got a Spinal Tap going there.
One of my favorite scenes was when Nigel was playing guitar and he was spoofing Jimmy Page with the violin.
Playing the guitar. Oh my god! And then he tunes it. He tunes the violin
and slaps it against it.
Jimmy Page had played with a violin bow on his guitar.
Oh.
So now he was playing with an actual violin. But when he tunes it,
he tunes the violin and slaps it. The violin against the guitar.
He tunes it and then plays it again. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's right." Like he gives the nod, like, "Yes, that sounds so much better."
It's funny. I don't have a lot of notes for this because I knew the two of you would not miss a beat. So I was like, I don't really think I have to take any notes because
I wasn't going to take any because I was
also I
you
just
would talk
didn't
a lot.
no. Like I watched it and I'm like, I don't really have a lot to say about this.
Do you have any notes on why Marty Di Bergi's hat says USS Oral C on it?
I don't know. I have to look.
I looked it up.
I do
because
have
I was
something.
like, I never noticed that before because he's wearing a U.S. Navy hat and it says USS and it's definitely Coral C, but it says OORLAL and apparently like the Navy was like, nah, you can't be using one of our ships in the movie.
You knew the reason. I didn't know.
I looked it up because I was like, that's like at first I was like, am I not seeing that right? Is the C like? Is there something wrong with the printing on this thing? But someone went in and drew, the C into an O because the Navy was
everything
like
else still looks like that hat.
Yeah,
you still think that right away.
Because I googled oral C and the first thing it's all Spinal Tap things. I'm like, so there's. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a boat called the Oral C. I'm like, okay, it's a Coral C. But
Rob Reiner was originally going to be one of the band members, it said, but he ended up directing after Harry Shearer said he didn't look good in spandex.
I was going to say he was already too fat for this. I mean, he was like. Meathead skinny, but Rob Reiner
you had to like the
exploded at
when
one point.
They made baby Michael McKean when he was singing. And he had his hair was like coming down over his...
But yeah, I don't think Rob Reiner would have been a good member of the band.
No, he wouldn't have, obviously, you notice a lot of this was ad-lib.
I think all of it was ad-lib. And there are parts where you can definitely see, like the other guy didn't know especially when it was Christopher Guest and Michael McKean, like Christopher Guest would say something, and Michael McKean would just start laughing, and then I'm like, that is an honest laugh right there. That guy said something that made him laugh, so they're not going to cut it, because apparently this was all like first takes. It was all, there wasn't a lot of, let's do that again kind of stuff, so he was thrown off by what the other guy said, so they had to laugh.
Do you want to tell the IMDb story?
Do you want me to? Or do you do? I don't have it written down.
It's just, basically what it is. Well,
on IMDb, when you rate the things, it's 1 out of 10, but Spinal Tap, you get to rate it 1 out of 11. Which I don't know if that affects their score.
No, it's showing the average score of this one is saying it's 11 out of 10. It doesn't have a real score there.
Oh, it just says 11 out of 10. Because I was going to say, I saw somewhere it was like 7.9. I'm like, but is that 7.9 out of 10 or 7.9 out of 11?
7.9 out of 11, that's right.
Yeah, so that's not a good enough score. It should be an 8.9 out of 11. And I'll tell you this much, that line, this goes to 11, and well, I still giggled at the end of the scene where he's like, yeah, but this goes to 11. Like, he just doesn't understand why it doesn't need to go to 11. But that is one of those lines that I never want to hear it again outside of Spinal Tap, because you hear it all the time. You hear football commentators say it. It's so loud here, it's going to 11. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
it doesn't work like that.
That is part of the American lexicon now, that it's just so out there, but I never want to hear it outside of Spinal Tap. They're the only ones that are allowed to say it.
I do have this about the Oral C.
Oh.
The Oral C naval cap reappears in The Princess Bride in 1987. Which Rob Reiner also directed.
Was Andre the Giant wearing? Oh shit! I forgot that he directed that. Yeah.
Dire Straits guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter Mark Knopfler was asked by Reiner to compose the movie score, which he agreed to do on the condition that the Oral C hat from the Spinal Tap appears somewhere in The Princess Bride.
Must be in the bedroom. Because behind Fred Savage's bed.
He said the cap had to be recreated and appears in the boy's bedroom hanging behind him. Knopfler later said he was joking with regard to the hat.
That's great. I was totally forgetting there was a modern part of that. I was like, how could they fit that hat into like a fairy tale? But yeah, it's in Kevin Arnold's
and then I had
room.
There was a deleted subplot.
Kevin Arnold? What's his name?
Kevin Arnold.
Kevin Arnold.
No,
right?
his name isn't Kevin Arnold. That was his
That's-
name in the Wonder Years.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fred
right.
Savage, Fred
Fred
Savage.
Fred Savage.
There's a deleted subplot involving an all-female opening act from whom all the members of Spinal Tap contracted herpes.
That's why they had herpes
they
for
all
one
had, like,
scene.
In
sores
several
on their
scenes
But
of
it
the
was
finished movie,
one-
the band members have visible cold sores.
Yeah, because when they're talking to someone, they show it, and I'm like, he has a cold sore. And then the very next scene, same scene, they're still talking, it was gone.
Oh, was it really
And
in the
then it
same
came
scene?
back,
Because it was at
yeah.
the party. It was at that
Yeah.
opening, the
Two
New
of
York
them
party. Yeah,
Cold sores on their
that's
face.
great.
Spinal Tap later appeared on the Otto Show in 1992. Did you know
the
that?
Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, they play at
Harry Shearer does the voices for Burns, Flanders, Skinner.
Yeah, I remember something happens to. I remember Bart and Milhouse go to the concert. Spinal Tap's playing, and at one point, Michael McKee or David St. Humbert is like, "Greetings," and he looks at the back of his guitar, and he's like, "Springfield," because it's written on the back. And then something happens, some disaster happens, and he's like, "Good night, Springdale. There will be no encore." He just throws his guitar.
Did you
down.
like that part, Dana, when they were like walking through backstage?
Oh,
and they,
yeah, they couldn't get out. That's hilarious.
Which I think is a real place in Cleveland where people were always getting lost underneath, getting
That guy
to
said, you
the.
must have got lost.
Yeah.
You take a jog down here. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that.
I noticed on that when I was looking at IMDb to look at the cast, all the way down the very, very, very bottom, Spinal Tap was listed as playing themselves in the movie.
Yes, that's
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's I think that's why this movie works as well as it does. All those guys know how to play the instruments, so none of that
Yeah.
was fake. They wrote
Yeah,
all the
I
music.
thought he was really singing.
They
He
wrote all
sounded
the
really
music.
good.
They played all
Yeah.
the music. I got writing credits for all those songs
What was
and
that
stuff
one?
like that.
Sex Farm?
Sex
or?
Farm.
Oh, yeah.
Sex Farm. Woman.
Yes.
And I love how they're describing like how they used to be juvenile songs. Now they're like,
Yeah.
now we're doing important work
Yeah.
like Sex Farm.
I think there was a line about something, your bean field.
plowing through your bean
Yeah,
field.
out your bean field. Oh, my God.
Do you remember what song they sang at Elvis's grave?
Yes. Yes, I do. Hold on. Jailhouse Rock?
No, it's Heartbreak
Wait.
Hotel,
Heartbreak
right?
Hotel.
Heartbreak Hotel.
That's the only one they could get the rights. That was the
Oh, is that
cheapest
why they
one,
chose
yeah.
that?
Oh.
That's such
Yeah.
a great he's like they start singing it together and Nigel starts singing it. It's like same key though, right? He's so off. Oh my god! And then what a great movie! I mean, like how stupid was that? Same key, right?
It said to prepare for the film, director Rob Reiner attended a concert by metal icons Judas Priest.
Oh.
Priest.
It physically hurt my chest, Reiner said. The reverberation in the hall was so strong that I couldn't stay there any longer.
Is that true?
Wow.
Is that a true story, by
Yeah.
The last time, well, not the last time I saw Judas Priest, but when Dan and I would see Priest up in Allentown, like let's say 10 years ago, we were on the floor and the bass drums were so intense. Like I was like, this might induce a heart attack in me because I guess the bass was so heavy in my chest. Oh my
That
God.
makes you feel weird,
That's
yeah.
how Rob Reiner felt.
Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher of Oasis once went to see Spinal Tap play live. The three stars performed as their opening act, the Folksmen, their characters from A Mighty Wind.
Okay, so they played as the Folksmen. That the Mighty Wind, another rockumentary.
Yeah.
Christopher Guest directed. The three of them play a folk band in that.
Oh, okay.
So it's like almost like a Spinal Tap reunion, but not quite. Not as good as Spinal Tap, but very funny. Do you have anything in your notes? Because I did not look it up. He's wearing a Gumby shirt a lot. Nigel's wearing a Gumby shirt. And then at one point, he's wearing a shirt with a pocket. And he's got a Gumby figure in his pocket. I was like,
I didn't see
I
it.
don't think I've seen anything with Gumby.
yeah, I was like, what's with the Gumby stuff? I thought maybe there was some kind of like subplot that maybe got cut or something like that where he was big into Gumby because he's wearing the Gumby shirt at the New York party. And then I noticed the one in his pocket again. And I was like, oh,
I didn't
something going
see
on
the
with
one in
Gumby.
his pocket.
And then when they're warming up.
I
on
saw
the-
the shirt a lot,
Yeah,
though.
when they're
Yeah.
warming up for the when the album gets released, when they all get the Black Album, he's wearing it again. I was like, oh man, he's wearing the Gumby shirt again. What's going on there? Gumby, damn it!
No, I don't think I have anything on that. I do have where Marty Di Bergi, where the name came from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa, Marty Di Bergi? Okay.
Yeah, do you know where you got that name from? No. Marty Di Bergi is an homage to Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, Steven Spielberg, and Federico Fellini.
Oh,
Marty Di
Di
Bergi.
Bergi, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so is that actually true? Or
Yeah,
is that,
I mean,
okay.
yeah.
I thought someone was like speculating on whether that was true or not. That's great. That's great.
Oh, and it was the Stonehenge disaster. It's not a parody of Black Sabbath's oversized.
it was
because they were the
Zeppelin
one that
there?
had the oversized
Yeah,
Stonehenge
okay.
set from Born Again tour.
Yeah.
I
Born
think it's
Again.
something. It said the Stonehenge scene was likely inspired by the setup for Led Zeppelin's final 2 U.S. concerts at the Oakland Coliseum, July 23rd and 24th, 1977. The stage was framed by a large Stonehenge-like monolith. Additional Stonehenge models appeared on the stage, and large banners to either side of the stage featured images of Stonehenge. The concerts are infamous because several members of Led Zeppelin's entourage beat up a local crew member backstage after the first day's performance.
Oh my gosh.
for putting up the monuments. Why did they beat him up? It's so funny thinking about, like, I've been to a million concerts and never once have I cared about the stage setup or anything like that. You know, it's just I want to see the band. Like, we've been to a lot of local clubs where there's no setup. So
I've never seen a rock band that's had setups. I've seen like pop bands, like Lady Gaga had an amazing setup, but I've never seen a rock band that had more than just a screen in the background with some
like
shit
I've
on
seen
it.
Slayer, they would have all
Yeah.
they have the upside down crosses, the burning. I remember Metallica on and Justice for All had the Justice statue on the side of the stage, and it fell apart during the middle of the show and stuff like that.
Oh.
Guar
No,
would
I've
bring
never.
a lot of stuff out on stage
Guar,
too.
Yeah.
Guar was
wow.
fun, yeah.
Yeah.
The Dickies were fun. Meatmen would do that too. They'd have stuff on stage sometimes. But let's see, what do I have here? I don't want to take away from you, Dana, if you have anything.
I only have 3 things written down. I wrote down Ed Begley Jr., the hotel check-in guy, because I didn't know his name, but the guy from, what's it called? And Stonehenge, because that was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Did you like when Harry Shearer got stuck in his
Yes.
Pod. He's a true professional. He's playing bass the whole time.
Yeah.
Still, like,
and he's hitting
playing
the bass to crank it out.
That was great to get the blowtorch out. And of course, it opens as soon as the song.
And then he tried to get back in.
Did you know that they can't dust for vomit at Scotland
I
Yard?
didn't. I learned that. I learned that here.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
They can't dust for vomit.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the first time you see Michael McKean laugh, because they're talking about it. He's like, yeah, he choked on vomit. And Nigel's just like, you can't dust for vomit. You see Michael McKean laugh. That's such a great line. I said to Michelle when it happened, I'm like, but you can check for DNA nowadays. I guess back then you couldn't.
No.
No, I did not get Michelle's score because she left halfway through. But she was laughing. I will tell you this. There were times where she was laughing in this movie. She just didn't feel like sitting around and watching it with me. She couldn't give 82 minutes to this.
Had she seen it before?
I'm sure she had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did Tara watch with you?
Yes. That's all I'm going to say about that. Till the end. But yeah, the part that made me laugh the most was Stonehenge. But what I really got like a big giggle out of is at the end when they were yelling at the guy for taking the wrong measurements or whatever. He says to him, "It's not really a big deal." And the guy's like, "Well, it should have been something about it." And I laughed so hard at that.
But there's also a great line. I think I actually wrote this down because I didn't want to just make it all quotes, but he says something so funny at that part where they're talking about the thing. Oh, man, I don't want to. He says something about, like, it's not your job to be as confused as Nigel is.
Yeah.
It's not your job.
Did you catch the tribute to the Three Stooges?
Tribute to the Three
I didn't.
Stooges. No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, the final drummer. Did you see what his name was?
Oh, Joe Mama Besser.
Yeah, his name was Joe.
Oh, yeah, I saw his name Joe Mama. I didn't know.
His name Joe Besser was the last stooge he took over for.
Now,
he was one of the
in
curlies.
that
He was one of the last
scene,
curlies,
Did
yeah.
they like switch drummers like at the end very quick?
Well, one blew up. When
He blew up. Okay, that's
they
what
go
it
to
was.
Japan.
Yeah.
They go to Japan, they're playing, and then the drummer that's been the drummer the whole time explodes, and then Joe Mama Besser
and then it shows up,
immediately
because
there.
they just switched it so
Because they don't
quick
even
like
stop
that.
the song.
No,
it's just the next
they
night or
just
something like that.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if that was what that was.
So Spinal Tap has had 2 drummers explode on
Yeah.
stage.
Did you know that in '79, Christopher Guest appeared as Nigel Tufnell on American Bandstand with Lenny and the Squigtones, and Lenny was played by Michael McKean.
Wow.
They were on American Bandstand.
What's Lenny and the Squigtones? Is that a band
That was
Lenny
a band that
and Squiggy
Lenny
had?
had on.
Was it
Laverne
Laverne and Shirley?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. Okay, I don't remember that. And he played Nigel. So Nigel was a already created character.
Yeah,
Interesting.
You had to like when Harry Shearer went through the airport too.
Oh my god.
Oh, yes, that's really funny.
Michelle,
Michelle
was laughing a lot
But
at
then
that
Tanner
one.
says, A cucumber wouldn't set off
But
a
he had
metal
it wrapped
detector.
in tinfoil.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
That's
in
what set it
tinfoil.
off. Yeah,
Okay.
because I remember, you know what? The first time I saw that, I'm like, why would a vegetable set off the metal detector?
Yeah.
But
It's the
it's
tinfoil,
definitely
yeah.
wrapped in something.
Yeah, it was wrapped in something.
But like the first time they're playing on stage, it's not Big Bottoms. It might be Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight, but they show like the down low angle up at him.
Yeah.
His like it's all the way
I
down to his
know.
Oh, yeah,
knee.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just like,
That's
good
funny.
God, look at that thing.
Seeing people in the 80s wearing spandex was
And they're
traumatizing
all
as a little
wearing it.
girl.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was really
But think about it,
traumatizing.
you're a kid, you're smaller too, so your
Yeah.
eye level at that sometimes.
But just
you
like
know what
it
I
was
mean?
all over empty, and there was always, and even as like an 8-year-old, I'm like, ew, so gross. But yeah, they all were cracking up in the background of that scene too, when they were like, take it out.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're all. I wonder if they
he was
didn't
like,
know.
yeah.
I wonder if they like. I wonder if he set that up separately, just so they didn't even know.
Yeah.
But he
wouldn't
threw
have
it
been-
down too. He was like,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Like, are you happy? I guess they wouldn't have. There would be no reason to film that other than that gag. But
Yeah.
it felt like
Yeah.
such a genuine laugh that the
Yeah.
entire band was laughing at him. I actually had to look up if Fidelity Hall was a real place in Philadelphia when they were playing Philadelphia.
Oh.
Fidelity Hall, I'm like, is that a real place? But apparently it was not.
Oh.
Because the place in Cleveland that was not a real place either. There is a place now named after
Oh.
whatever the place in Cleveland was. They
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
have now either a bar or a place.
Well, Fidelity
arena.
Hall sounds like it could be, because I think like Fidelity Bank
Yeah,
is a thing,
yeah,
so it
yeah.
sounded like
Yeah.
it could have been a real thing.
Thank God Boston isn't a big college town. I remember like saying that one time to my dad, and my dad's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's just a line from a movie." He's like, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard," because obviously Boston is a gigantic college town. So I was like, "Yeah, but that's the joke." Like,
Who
they
was he
got
talking
canceled
about when he
in-
said? Was it their drummer died? When he said he choked on vomit.
vomit, yeah.
He choked on someone else's
Well, yeah,
vomit.
that's what they said. You can't dust for vomit. You can't dust for vomit. And the other one exploded. And he just left a really green gobbly one on the.
But
on
he
the
said
seat.
Philly was a real rock and roll
Yep.
market,
Yep.
right? I like the double bass too when he had the
Yes.
double neck bass,
Which is the dumbest thing. I mean, you don't need that much bass.
or sexist. Remember, he was like sexist.
Well, that's also
Yeah.
brings up my favorite line in the history of it, because they start talking about you had a woman on all fours with the gloves shoved in her face,
Yeah.
and then they're like, well, he was lying on the bed tied up with them all whipping him. He's like, yeah, but he's the victim. Howard Hessman or whoever the lead singer of that band is. He's like, but he was the victim. And they're like, in your album cover, she was the victim. And he's like, oh, there's such a fine line
Yes.
between clever and stupid. That's been my mantra for like 40 years. I still haven't found the balance. I don't know when it's clever or stupid, but
Do you remember the first song that David and Nigel wrote?
yes, of course I do.
When they were little kids.
Yep. When they're talking about it at the diner, they start singing it. They're trying to
Yeah.
remember what it is.
Yeah, was it about maybe like a mailman or something? I can't remember.
I'm gonna cry all the way home.
All the way home.
yeah.
All the way home.
It's funny because I forgot while watching it this time. I was waiting for the time because he does the whole interview with Nigel at the where he's going through all the guitars, and it's the one louder part, and he's playing the piano, "Lick My Love Pump." And I'm like, isn't there a scene where he talks about like his skeleton because he's wearing the skeleton
wearing the shirt,
and he's
yeah.
like, "This is my exact insides."
He's
And I'm
like, "Is it green?"
Where's that happening?
That's at the
And
credits,
That was
yeah.
in the credits. I was like, damn. I'm like, I remember that scene like so well, and I'm like,
Because he's
that's
like,
not
but he's
into
like,
the
is it
credits?
green? He's like,
Yes.
I like when he said Des Moines is in Indiana or something.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And I liked when Nigel fell backwards and he couldn't stand.
He had to get the
yes.
roadie to help him up. I mean, the fact that he was able to get in that position was amazing, but I wouldn't have been able to get down.
They were
One of those
supposed to be in
lines,
their
my favorite
40s?
quote.
Were
Yeah.
they
What's
supposed
that?
to be in their 40s? I thought they were like, yeah, because
Well,
Michael
'Cause
McKean
he says
looks
at one
so
point,
young.
Derek says to Davey, he says, who wants to be a 45-year-old
Yeah.
rock and roller?
Yeah.
You know? So-
Because the other guy, I mean, Michael McKean looks so young. I thought maybe he was like in his late 20s.
he's close to 80 now, I think.
Yeah, I
Michael
think,
McKean.
I think those guys are probably all getting
Well, he
close
looked
to
very
80.
young because the Derek Smalls looked a lot older than the rest
Well,
of
he
them.
had that big
It's his beard.
mustache
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Because when the Ed Begley Jr. scene, he doesn't have that's the only time you see him without the
Yeah.
mustache, and he looks I wouldn't say he looks younger, but he looks different. I remember
Yeah, he's 76, Michael McKean.
Okay, I remember Harry Shearer was in the Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick.
Oh, that was early 2013, 2014, somewhere around there.
Oh
right?
no,
That
like
one?
90s,
2008.
90s.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
And Hank Azaria's in it, and Harry Shearer's in it. I remember at the time just being like, oh my God, they got the two guys from The Simpsons in this. And I remember seeing Harry Shearer, I'm like, is that what he looks like? Because I really only knew what he looked like as Derek Small. So I was like, oh, there he is without his mustache and like short hair. I'm like, that doesn't look like how I pictured
He's on
him
that one
looking at
season
all.
of SNL too, 1 or 2 seasons of SNL,
like the Gilbert era kind of thing.
I think
Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
I don't know if he was there with Gilbert or not.
They were early 80s kind of thing.
Yeah, because they had a beef a little bit, I think. Because they kept talking about getting Shearer on the podcast, and they couldn't. I think that Gilbert said something to him at one point. I only have one thing left, and it's my favorite quote. Do you want it?
Sure.
It's no, we're not gonna fucking do Stonehenge.
Yes, that is great. I wrote down, I think this is the first time I ever heard wanker, because they call Howard Hessman a wanker after he leaves. He's like, he's just a wanker. And I was like, this probably was the first time I ever heard that term used, because that's such a British thing. And Vic, was he playing Missile Command on the bus there when they were on the bus?
Oh yeah, he was playing a video game.
And David was up front with Janine. And he's like, I want to go back and play the video game. And
I want to check out the game.
It looked very Missile Commandy, but it was such a shitty Atari 2600 graphic kind of thing. I was like, I couldn't even tell you if that's what they were actually playing, because he describes it. He says something. He's like, I don't know, it's something about a van or something like that. He doesn't even know what the game is about, but. I just wanted to point out that he was playing the video game. So it's not your job to be as confused as Nigel. That's the line that he said.
Was the song they sang about big butts, was that supposed to be like a spoof on like fat bottom girls?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
I wasn't sure the timing of when that song came out versus when the movie came out.
Yeah.
That was definitely in the 70s, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're all playing bass on that, by the way. They needed so much bottom end, I guess, on that. I think they all were playing bass. The only two notes I have anymore than just lines where I was like, look how young Fred Willard looks when he's the Colonel thing. I'm like, I mean, he's been dead for like a while now. And
a few years. Because he was on Modern Family. He played Phil's dad.
He died, he died in 2020.
Oh, okay. All right. But I've only kind of really known him as an older man. Like he was on Everybody Loves Raymond as like the in-laws and stuff like that. And I didn't really watch it that much.
Comedy troupe when he was younger.
Did he?
Okay.
I guess he kind of got. Didn't he get like that?
He was really skinny. No way.
I thought something happened with him late in life. I thought something weird happened with him.
I think it was
so he didn't show up.
I think he was like losing his mind a little bit.
So okay.
But he didn't appear in a lot later in his life. So,
but he was Phil's dad on.
Yes.
On Modern Family.
Yes, indeed.
And he dies during that.
But that's what I knew him from.
He dies in that.
Yeah.
Near the end. Does he die on the show? Did he go to his funeral and stuff like that? I haven't gotten that far in Modern Family.
Yeah, I knew that he died while filming it.
Think about that. Ed O'Neill has 2 sitcoms that he did that both lasted 11 seasons.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Both 11 seasons long. That's insane.
And when you hear the story about how he got like married with children, like it was like one of those things he didn't want to do. And he's like, do I want to be tied down this? And he's like, it's on Fox, some shitty network that doesn't even exist. He's like,
he almost didn't do it.
He's like, I'll be free in like 6 months. And then 11 years later, he's like, I'm sure he's still cashing those checks.
Yeah.
But the only other things I have are, I want to be the guy at the concert that's just sitting there giving the thumbs down the whole time, because when they're playing at the Great Adventure type place, there's a guy just sitting. He's not even standing. He's just sitting with his hand on his chin on his hand. He's like giving a thumbs down. I was like, oh my god, that's got to be so depressing being a band seeing that. And Ian, the manager, like after they'd broken up and Marty goes back to interview him, he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to open a summer camp for Billy.
You know what's funny about that?
It was young boys.
I thought he said, okay, so the whole time, every time I saw him, he was wearing like Harry Potter striped colors, which is so British.
Was he? Okay.
That yellow and brown stripes, which is so British. And then I swore he said that camp was called Hogwarts. So I had to rewind it, but it's called Hogwarts or Hogwarts or something. But it sounded so much like Hogwarts. I'm like, how is this possible? How is he wearing that?
Probably,
because you know Harry Potter always wear that scarf. Like when I think of him, I think of that striped scarf. He was wearing a sweater like that and something else like that. And then I swore he said Hogwarts. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
There was a character earlier in the movie at the party, the Fran Drescher party. He was Sir Eaton Hogg, I think. That was his, that was his name. So I don't know if you heard that.
No.
Because that guy...
No, he definitely 100% said the name of that camp was it wasn't Hogwarts. I rewound it, but it was like
he was in A View to a Kill.
Oh, I was gonna say he'll be in James Bond next year when we get to A View to a Kill.
Really?
Yeah, he's James Bond's
I hope this is better than the last James Bond movie I had to watch.
It's the one with Christopher Walken as the bad guy, so I think it's better. And Tanya Roberts is the Bond girl. But yeah,
do you have anything else, Dana, or do you want to get to some scores?
This movie is one of my all-time favorites. When I talk about my favorite comedies of all time, Spinal Tap is always at the top of the list, like top 5.
Right there next to Caddyshack and Airplane.
And I'll say Airplane too. And I know I read somewhere
Airplane too, really? Over the first one?
Airplane also. That when this movie was released in Germany, whatever Airplane had been called in German back in the day, it was like Crazy Flight or something like that. And it has that screwed up plane. They called this like Crazy Band and had a guitar twisted up so they kind of try to make it as Airplane like as possible. But
I thought I had something on that. Let me see.
That's why I remember hearing about that years ago.
The name of the Pale Young Boys camp was called Hogwood.
Well, that's very close to Hogwarts. So I give this movie a 93. I don't usually go off the even or the zeros and the fives with my scores, but like this is so high up there. I couldn't give it a 90. I had to go higher than a 90.
Okay.
So
very funny because I couldn't give it a 90. I love this movie as well. I give it a 91.
Nice.
Yeah, I love this movie. I'll always quote this movie. I'll watch this movie whenever. It's 82 minutes. I'll watch it again tonight if you want.
I definitely have to go seek out the 272-minute uncut version.
Did you look for it yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
I'll start looking for it as well.
Real quick before I do that, when I googled the name of the place, the next story was, had J.K. Rowling seen This is Spinal Tap before writing Harry Potter? I didn't click on it, but that's the headline. Anyway.
Hogwarts seems to be like a name that is in England. Like that seems to be an English thing.
It seems appropriate.
It's like poppycock.
Like all their bars are like the tilted kilt and the.
So Michelle didn't give you a score, right?
Nah, she walked out.
So Tara watched it with me. And I was very tired last night, and I fell asleep around 8 o'clock watching this with like a half hour left. And she did not wake me up and say, hey, you're falling asleep. Nothing. She just turned it off, left me in the living room, went upstairs because she hated it. She hated it. She did not finish it. And I think that's why she never woke me up, because she didn't want me to be like, I'm awake, we could finish it. Because she was like reading while she was watching it. She was like rolling her eyes. She gave it a 2.
I was hoping she gave it an 11, but okay.
No, she gave it a 2.
Since she didn't even watch it, we can't count it.
She watched everything in the last 25 minutes. She had enough.
But that's the best part. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
But now this is where I'm curious. What's
it's hard because, if she didn't get it, then that's fine.
This movie is not for everybody.
Yeah.
My mom's a big Christopher Guest fan. All those movies, Waiting for Guffman, Mighty Wind, Best in Show, she loves all those movies.
Yeah.
I made her watch Spinal Tap because I'm like, it's all those guys. And she was like, nah. She's like, it's not my thing. I'm like, really? I'm like, ugh.
I thought it was funny. I think I knew a lot of the lines because just hearing people quote it over the years.
They're out there, yeah.
I didn't find it hilarious. I'm sorry. I gave it an 80.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, it was still really good. There's a lot of parts I enjoyed, had some laughs. It's not my favorite movie. Sure. I think if I had watched it a lot when I was younger, or maybe like when I was underage drinking and drunk watching it, I would have found it hilarious.
I started this in college, and I'm sure I was drunk when I saw it. Spinal Tap had like a revival in the early 90s. They had a new album come out, an actual album.
Yes.
Was that Break Like the Wind? Was that album or something like that?
I don't remember the title.
Really?
They toured on it. I unfortunately didn't see Spinal Tap, but they played at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. Like Freddie had died like the year before, and they did a huge tribute. Everybody was there, and Metallica's album had famously just come out that year, the Black Album.
Yeah.
And there's a video of them backstage, Spinal Tap and Metallica, at the Freddie Mercury tribute thing with them like, oh, how'd you get the idea for the All Black album? And stuff like that. And Lars was he's like, obviously this was like a tribute to Spinal Tap. We did it because of them. But it's just so funny how they're like,
so they actually put out an album? Is that the only one they ever did?
I think they have a couple albums. Yeah.
Oh,
and they've done like videos.
I think they're on Spotify too.
There's other stuff out there. There's other I almost wish someone would like compile it all together and make one big giant Spinal Tap something. But there's talk, I've heard, of a sequel like next year. But I thought
there was another movie out there. Maybe it wasn't them. Spinal Tap's return or something like that.
Maybe
Which maybe had nothing to do with them. I don't know.
I can't imagine there's anything with them involved, but I heard that they're working on a sequel now.
Huh.
I mean, they're all still alive, so if they can.
I'd watch it. I definitely would
It
go
would
see
be
it.
kind of like,
that would be fun.
Sequels 40 years after the original hardly ever work.
Yeah.
And comedy sequels almost never work.
Well, I think I've become a Michael McKean fan. I was never before.
Because of Chuck?
Because of Chuck,
Oh,
yeah.
I love Michael
I knew
McKean,
nothing,
yeah.
and then seeing him in that, I thought he was great. So now,
and it's going
I
to be
think I would
weird
like
to
to go
go
back
from
and
Chuck
see.
now
I
back
know.
to David St. Hubbins. Like,
Yeah. It's a big
By the way,
difference.
St. Hubbins was the saint of quality footwear.
Yes.
Jesus.
We need to pick next week's movie.
Well, I picked this one, so
So
I
is
think
it
we
my
should just
turn?
rotate. Yeah.
Okay, that's your turn.
Okay, let me see here. I don't
like-
want to do horror. We're saving the
Yeah.
horror, right?
But Zach wants to be on. Do we want to get a guest on and do one of his movies, or because he wanted?
I was going to say, why don't we do Hot Dog? I was going to say Hot Dog the
Hot Dog
movie.
the movie with Zach?
Let me see if it's streaming.
Hot Dog the movie.
I don't even know what that's about.
It's a dumb 80s comedy in the Porky's vein, kind of like that. Oh yeah.
I can already tell you now, my score's going to be
there's
low.
a couple boobs in there.
It's to be or rent. So maybe we'll let's skip that one for this
Okay,
week.
okay.
Let's do.
Okay.
Sorry about the pausing here. Let's do Suburbia.
Okay.
Suburbia.
I saw that movie a long time ago.
Suburbia. Let me just check real quick. It is. It's on Peacock.
Okay.
It
I
is.
got that.
Wow.
Yeah, when House. I was going to read it, but I hit something and I lost it. Look at that. There it is, Suburbia. Yeah, when household tensions and a sense of worthlessness overcome Evan, he finds escape when he clings with the orphans of a throwaway society. The runaways hold on to each other like a family until a tragedy tears them apart.
Is that this one? This
Yep.
is it right here.
That's
Okay.
not the...
that
Yes, Penelope Spheris. Yep.
the girl that directed Decline of Western Civilization.
Yes.
Excellent. I did not know that.
Yes, so we'll do that one next week.
Okay.
What's the matter?
I'm pretty sure I saw this one, or there's one that came out in 1996, the same name. So I'm not sure.
We're doing the 84 one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just didn't know which is the one I already saw, because I know the one I
It's
saw
on Peacock,
Fleas in
right?
I
it.
just find
84,
I just find this guy's billed as this in the
Something
movie.
there.
Oh,
shit.
yeah, this is the movie, Fleas in it.
But he's billed as Mike B. the Flea.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
that's
because
his
his name
name.
is Mike
Is that his real name?
Balazari or something,
I honestly
yeah.
don't know that Flea's real name was Mike. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I figured he was born as Flea,
No, it's
but
like Mike Balazari or
He
Bolt,
used
yeah,
to play
something
with
like that.
fear too. Good times, man. I could bring fear on the podcast.
I did not
as
know
much
he
as
was.
possible.
I didn't know he played with Fear.
Yeah,
I
he
did not know
played
that.
with them for a little
This
while.
movie
Yeah.
is
Before the
actually-
Chili Peppers, or after,
before,
kind of
yeah. But he's played with them after, as
Right, yeah.
one-offs and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
this is the movie that I learned what a snot rocket was. So that's the kind of thing you're going to
Gross.
see here.
Are you going to demonstrate that to us
No.
next
Could
week?
do that. I'll see if we can get somebody for this movie though too.
Okay, I saw
Yeah.
that at a church camp out one time, live in person. I was
God.
like, "What
I could
in
throw
the
up just
hell?"
thinking about it.
I never talked to that person ever again.
You
after
shouldn't.
That.
You
I was
should
like,
never
I
talk
don't
to
want
that
to talk
person.
You know what you
John
should
anymore.
do?
Ew, I'm going to throw up.
You should check out Spreaker, download, rate, subscribe to all those fun things. We're the exciting new podcast on all our socials. Slam that subscribe button. Do that fun stuff. I'm the Jazoo over there on Instagram. Jazoo74 on Twitter. The Jace, is it Jason Hunt? I was going to say for Facebook, but I messed it up. But this has been the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason. Suburbia.
Agonzo1 on Twitter, Agonzo1970 on Instagram. I am Andy.
Dana Caps on TikTok and Twitter. Dana Caps 77 on Instagram. I'm Dana.
I love these still to read it.
I do.